Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome. Just in time. I like that. So I am going to go through both the games from yesterday. We're going to be thinking about are there puzzles to be made along that same theme that I think I've spoken about already. If not, I'll speak about them when we see it. Because for now, we're going to have all the puzzles on the same theme. And then we'll also look at if there's any individual plays that I want us to look at together. I think probably there isn't, but we're going to go through it anyway. And as always, ask any questions that you have. Got the Roffle files a bit easier now because grid is fixed. So we'll look at the first game first, and then the second game second. I also have a pot of bolognese that is cooking on the stove, so I might need to go and run and check that every now and again. But we will see. Okay, so video, borderless. This draft, fairly happy with. I think there's versions or I think there's things we could have done better, things we could have done a little differently. I really like the Zerath, and actually, to be honest, the more I think about it, I think it's fine to take it where we did. Do you guys like me talking about the draft more specifically? Because what I'll do is I'll get actually up, if I go to my own channel, and I'll get up the VOD so that we can look together at the draft. So this is the first draft. If I get it higher, a little bit higher than 0 resolution. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about that. Like, has Jankos really not played against Lost Returns? Okay, wait. Let me. I'll get both the drafts. So I'll just 1 second. This is the first draft. If you want to refamiliarize yourself with it, and then this is the second one, which I'll have ready for the second game. I really like teams like Venomcest. Like, okay, let's just have 5 players that want to play together and see what happens. I think it's a really cool idea. I think obviously it's difficult for someone like Gooby to be thrust straight into the jungle when I don't know how much he wants to. Is that a nice way to say it? It feels like that. Okay. I don't, but I will take your word for it. I think that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Okay, just about to get the second draft sorted. What was our last pick? Oh yeah, Kennen. So once we've done the second draft, we'll talk about this first one in a bit more detail. Give you what we were thinking at each stage, although of course we kind of did that on the day. So the things going into this series, actually, wait, sorry, I need to make sure I do the screenshot properly, and then I'll talk about our approach to the series. For me, I don't like to approach a best of series with the idea of having like specific drafts. I think you should prep game 1 draft, of course, but especially in Fearless, like prepping further than that is a bit silly for me. So knowing what you want to have come out of it is really, really useful. So in this case, game 1, what we wanted to make sure was that they didn't have like really pushing an active mid laner and an easy to execute jungler. So for example, Maokai Yone, that's why we banned both of these here. Maokai Triss, for example, or Maokai Yone, that was going to be something that they've shown good results on already. Let me just move myself out of the way. Covered myself from yesterday. Okay. Then Varus just really strong still, even with the changes. So very good blind with all the strong stuff open up. We thought they would take the Skarner and something. So for example, here we thought it would be like Jhin Skarner if they're going to go it, because also Jhin is not very good into Skarner because it's hard to get through tanks. But instead they just take the Victor 1-2, which we weren't really expecting. That is the downside, obviously, of not going through every single possibility. But for me, checking what happens if they go 1-2 Victor is a bit silly because we'd never seen anyone do it. So then basically our question was here, we knew we really wanted the Xerath because double immobile carries already. And we have the Varus. So the question was, do we go it here or do we go something like Rel here instead? We still just trade the Rel Alistar like before. We might even end up with the exact same comp, but we are just in a situation where we can ban Vi and stuff. And so we swap these two over, but we ban 2 engages before they know why we're banning 2 engages. Now, the risk, of course, is that if they've done their research and they see this, they think, okay, Xerath could be a problem, like us. This. So I think against a team where the enemy team is the favorites, then I think you can be a bit more aggressive in draft and a bit more risky and say like, okay, look, it's better for us to have the Xerath and let them have 1 instant engage champ, but we'll risk it. Whereas here, I think when you're the team that's expected to win, I think it's probably better to not risk something like that. So that's why we went Xerath there. So originally after the draft, I was thinking, we should just go Xerath here and we should just go Rel or something and leave ourselves open to do a bunch of things because we'll still have 3 mids. You know, it'll be Syndra or Xerath or Way and stuff like that. And we can still ban range. So that was why we went for this. I think the Gragas here on 4 is not particularly strong. We have the Yorick that can play really well into it. And also, Yorick in a comp like this is actually really, really annoying, I think. You think of Yorick as like just this split pusher, but actually like he gets Black Cleaver in this game and then you throw your E on someone, they get slowed, so they're able to be poked much easier and all their armor gets shredded for Varus. Just like saplings are insane if you've got a poke comp, right? They're really, really strong. Now, obviously, ghouls are not anywhere near as strong as that because you can't just leave them in all the bushes. But I think it's still a good pairing. My Epic Pen has gone very fat. There's so many hotkeys on Epic Pen that I should just remove them all because the ones I use I know, and then I accidentally use other ones. Question from YouTube: why do you blind so aggressively? Do enemy teams not counter blinding appropriately? What do you mean? So here we blind Varus because it's, I mean, you have to take something, but it's the strongest AD. And then they counter and blind something. So we counter and blind something. It's kind of how then they counter and blind something. Then we counter and blind something. It's kind of equal blinds, no? If LR locks in Sion, will we see the touch Nidalee top? Maybe. We've got 2 weeks to prep something like that. Yeah, mobile baddies in a cage for Zeratal. Yeah, I like it. We like Yorick obviously is very different. It's not something we played with a lot because it's why not Yorick first? Because Varus is stronger. I think if you come into a draft thinking we could never blind anything, you will always end up in a bad situation. You have to have something that is blindable. Where's our Nord merch? Is there not? There's a jersey, isn't there? From last split. I'm not wearing it today because I was wearing it yesterday. No, Yorick's a really good blind now. He maybe used to be terrible, but also it's a flex. So you can always take like flexes. But on blue side, it's still going to be blind by the end, you know? You have to pick where it goes before you see both things on the enemy. So if you come into a draft thinking the best thing we can do is blind as little as possible, I think you're probably not going to end up in a particularly good situation. So you need, like, Varus is just a very blindable AD. I mean, Victor is a kind of blindable mid, to be quite honest. I think Victor and Jhin is a bit of a weird one too when there's other powerful stuff to take. Skarner as well is a good blind jungle, but a lot of stuff you can blind in jungle, to be honest. So that's what that was that draft. Okay, game itself. Not sure there's super like amount of stuff that I'm going to be going through. It's always a balance of we're going to end up in a situation where we are going to have a lot of gameplay and not that much kind of like review time, as it were. So we have to be quite precise about like what we're going to do with it. Wait, sorry, did the wrong thing. Oh my god, I just keep pressing random buttons. Yeah. So what I'm really looking for is if there's anything that's like really big that we need to talk about. Yeah. Poke Varus is healthy for the game. Do you remember, were you playing? There was a time when it was Poke Varus mid all the time. And the reason is, it was before they nerfed his Q damage to minions. And your Q, if you got lethality and were like higher level, would just full one-shot waves. And so it was like you got to a point where you just can't play against it. Because from a screen away, he one-shots the wave. It was just like, this is nutty. But even now, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, so what I was saying is, mostly actually I'm looking for potential puzzles. I want to make a couple of puzzles out of this. And we're focusing our puzzles at the moment on something specific, which I think will help. So you'll be seeing this on the players' streams as well as they do them. What we're focusing on is what we do after an objective, or sorry, after a play. Very specific, not after objective, after a play. So we win the fight, what do we do? What's the first thing we do? Because some people are looking for like, are there any more plays to do? Some people are looking for the objective straight away, and some people are looking for the waves. And we could just have a conversation about it and try and pick a kind of rough rule, but that's going to be less efficient for me than doing puzzles around the same topic. So if there's any time here where we have an objective and then we make some strange, especially if we make strange decisions about the wave, or about who goes where, that kind of thing. So that'll be a big one for me. Because the thing is that there will be loads of mistakes that we make in this game. But the question as a coach, rather than as like an analyst, and I think a lot of times people confuse the two. I'm not meaning data analyst, by the way. I'm meaning like analyst, like someone who analyzes the game. Is that for me, knowing what we did wrong is not even half of the problem or half of the thing I'm thinking about. Thinking about what can we actually improve? How can we actually improve it? How can I plan something to make us improve, and how do I then check if it works? So the first step in the coaching journey is the analyst and analyzing the game and finding the problem. That's the part that a lot of people focus entirely on, and that's where I think we can get a lot of problems, especially if we start having teams with longer contracts and stuff like that. Occasionally pause the game for the live stream lag experience. At crucial moments. Pause and jump. Yeah, comms have improved, but there's still more work that I want to do with comms. So on Friday, I know already what I want to do for the Friday scrim. We're going to talk about tactics and strategy with the idea of bringing it into comms. And I want no one to be micromanaging tactics. This flash trade, when both junglers know where the other jungler is okay. Like, if they didn't know where we were, or we didn't know where Vi was, you wouldn't go for this. You wouldn't go for this. Well, we might. You shouldn't go for this flash trade because Vi could just be here or anything like that. But we saw her already. We had like full vision on Vi this first path, which is really good. And we still just have some free time to get a ward down. And now we see Vi again. Like, this early tracking on Vi was really, really good. And this is the downside of being new to jungle, is that it's quite hard to not be predictable. Not that you necessarily need to in this game. And this is the thing we talked about. Have I lost the champion portraits? Okay, now we're back. What was I saying? In this game, people were asking me in the chat as well, like, okay, Victor has really good scaling, like who scales better, all this kind of thing. But for me, this is exactly the kind of game where from individual champions are not that important in the scaling. The scaling in competitive is first about the comp and then about the champions. So if you're playing front to back and the enemy is playing front to back, and they've got a Zia, and you've got someone who scales worse, then yeah, the scaling plays a huge role, just the direct matchup. But here, for example, Victor is really strong in the late game, but for me, this comp is so difficult to play into this one. Because it's just, I mean, it's just artillery versus immobile carries. Like, even at this stage of the game where the gold is fairly equal, it's starting to get really, really hard. And even after, okay, now it's like completely equal. At this stage of the game, you can look at this and say, okay, like the gold is even. Victor is really ahead. He's really strong in the game, but it still just very quickly becomes just impossible to play. And then from here, it's just like, okay, at 25 minutes, the game is even, and at 30 minutes, the game's over. So that's one of the things of playing a comp that you know, and again, you know the strategy of. We know how to play this kind of comp. When you have someone who's like a specialist on a certain style of champion that they can also pull out. Will we get a live review with the team? I don't think so. I really liked doing the reviews and stuff with like Treats and Matt last split, but I think it probably doesn't work in the same way because people like Jankos and Freddy both have to have like be streaming and pay attention to what it is like for the content and stuff like that. And then like a long review of a game is hard to make, I think, consistently interesting, because when you come into a review of this, like there could be some amazing stuff, but there could also be nothing useful. And that's something that you have to just accept when you're in person. The other option is the coach spends a lot of time to make sure it's useful. And I don't really have the time to do that. So I do it like this instead, and I show them just individual stuff. Tomorrow we're scrimming Forsaken again. From Champ Select, do the players know how to play the wave based on what Jankos wants to do? Do they know if he's full clearing then ganking? Yeah. So he says already, it's a standard thing with all teams, which we do as well, is Prio's jungle path. So we'll say, okay, Gragas pushes top, or it's actually Yorick, but I think Yorick. We might, if you're not sure about that, like that's also something that comes up. So Tamas Chachi maybe says, okay, I get top push. Freddy says he gets mid push, and we say we'll get bot push, and then says Janko says, okay, I'm going to do a full clear towards bot. So that's how it works, like a standard. And if you're working with a new team, just force them to implement that, and it's good. Even if they don't know, because it will allow them to think more about who gets prio and realize how important it is and all those kind of things. And then here, this is just kind of boring, but we just sequencing, both junglers just sequencing the same way both times. Yeah, it would be quite useful, but for example, like to see it, this like live review with everyone, but I don't see how it can be useful for Freddy, for example, for Noway. Like it can't be good content compared to real content. It's not going to get as many viewers. Like the viewers, it works for content for me because hopefully you're coming here to learn about coaching or enjoy the coaching process. Whereas the people who just want to see the game, they watch the players. And so all the players' audience is probably, it's not that useful for. So I'm going to go through this kind of fast. It is technically my off day after the competitive games. So necessarily, I'd also just worked all morning. So I don't necessarily want to just work all afternoon too. So we'll go through it fairly fast. Like I said, the main thing I'm looking for is if there's anything that I want to show the team on Friday, like we chat about together, that's number one. The next one is puzzles, which I think is much more likely and should be good. And that will be puzzles focused on what we do after the play or after the fight. I mean, this is just miserable. This was a little weird, like, we really didn't know if he would just still go for them, and I think we... Like how this all happens was a little bit strange. So we didn't get a reset in TP on Chachi, which is the bit of the problem. But we push out Gragas. I think after this, we just need Rel to go all the way to Grubs. They didn't want to show, because showing obviously means that they know that Rel is not on bot side, and we weren't 100% sure where Alistar was. I also think this pink... Okay, no, it was that ages ago. I thought we'd just put it down. I think we should just go to Grubs and put the pink down. especially as we saw in Ward. As soon as he wards over the wall, like, we should expect him to do this. Like, Rel should already be there, so that he would just insta-die. Or insta-lose Flash. But that's probably not worth going over. The problem with Vi... Yeah, exactly. I mean, Vi is harder to play. So, again, this is where drafting... People talking about drafts who weren't in the game, and that's another kind of flaw of that. Like, analyzing drafts from without. Because... this comp we might not give someone else. I might be really unhappy with this draft against a different team, but against this team, I'm quite happy with it. And the same with the Neferi one in next game. Like, okay, if you can execute on a first pick Neferi after it's been nerfed, fair play. You know, like, you shocked me. You deserve to win, but you're like a new jungler who's also spending a lot of time playing AD carry still in solo queue. It's really hard to execute on this kind of stuff in competitive, especially when you're against someone like Jankos, where, okay, not necessarily in this split all the time, but a big thing about playing with like Jankos or Santorin or someone like that is these really experienced people, they'll just be so consistent. Like, all the decisions through all the games will probably be like, or at least roughly right. And you make one wrong decision. It's like playing chess against someone who's really good. You feel like even if you're okay, you'll be like, okay, I can do the opening theory, like I'm not falling behind, and then I make like one inaccuracy here and one inaccuracy here, and suddenly it feels like unplayable. So these hard to execute champs are really much more difficult than like Sejuani, Maokai, all those kind of Skarner. I really thought they would go Skarner 1-2. Here, I think we just crash this wave in and then back off. Like, we'd never need to waste ult in this situation as well. We just throw ult for some damage, which I think is always really silly. Which is what's going to give them this dragon, because we could come this side and retake it, probably before they did it. But we trade all the camps. They take some of the bot camps. Then you actually take one of the bot camps, and then she comes back round, yeah. I like that. I'm not sure how you would say it to make it clear that it's an inner accuracy. I don't know. Your Yorick Pyro was really interesting in scrims, and yesterday it worked out very nicely. Yeah, we were trying it. In scrims, we were more just trying it. I don't think we'll be taking it first pick on blue side necessarily. But I will ult Jhin and solo dive him on the next wave. Innaxe probably. I will ult Jhin and 100 to 0 him. Here as well, like, we just don't need to chase stuff like this. Like, the game is still in a really good spot. But I'm not gonna make like a video about this or talk about this as a group or anything like that. Like, yeah, we could have gone by ourselves, but the Skarner I think also works for the same thing. And now this is what makes the game obviously way harder. I can't believe he still dies, but he dies to the Alistar at least. It makes the game way harder than it needs to be. But that is okay. So I think there's one at 20 minutes in this. The Atakan sequence also is really weird. Focus for objectives this game was in the early stages, we wanted to mismatch, I think. And then later on, we want to stack dragons up so that they have to come in and fight us, basically. But it wasn't like hard prio on anything, because once the game gets to like 2 items on everybody, it's really hard for them to play already. This timing on this... I mean, the Yorick looks so broken here, doesn't it? This is a 4v5 fight. But because he's already got 3 points in Q, and it heals 10% of his missing HP, and it's got a 3-second cooldown, he's just so fucking annoying. Yorick. This is a really nice ult into good follow-up engage. And Victor's just really, really strong. I thought we could actually keep chasing this, but maybe we just die. And the fact that Victor gets shut down by Yorick as well is really, really big. So I mean, this is too aggressive. I think the proxy, but turns out okay. So watching the stream of Nemesis, he said Reckless was impressed by Yorik's Earth combo. Be ready, they will pick it from you or just ban them. Yeah, I mean, I think it works. It looks more impressive in this game than it would in most games, because I don't think Lost Ratones are taking 2 blind immobile AD carries against. I mean, carries against us. Although that they could take like Syndra and something, for example, I guess. But we've played Xerath against them before a few times. You know, like they won't be in a situation where they've got really low engage and 2 immobile carries. So it won't look as good as this, but I do like the combo. I think it's really annoying. Yeah, this was a bit of a weird one as well, because we teleport top. We're basically trading this tower for it, I guess. But don't we get this tower anyway? Okay, so this could be a good one for a puzzle, actually. So after this puzzle, after this fight, so what am I? 26 minutes into the stream. After this fight, the fight itself, we don't need to do for puzzle situation. I think the proxy's too far, but that's fine. But now we're in this situation. Like, where do we go now? What do we do? So we have 6 scrubs. We have Varus pushing top wave. Enemy has 1 TP on Victor. We have 1 TP on Yorick. Where do we go from here? What we did is we teleported top, we recalled, and we ended up losing the dragon, but trading it for the tower. But my question is, don't we either recall here and we just put, like, I think we can get both. Like, I don't think 4 plates, 5 plates, 3 plates, I don't think they're going to get towers before we are, when we've got 6 scrubs as well. So yeah, that would be good as a puzzle option. So for me, the options are like Varus stays to try and hit this, but Victor can TP like in 15 seconds, but he can hit for longer. Like, will he get the full tower? Probably not. Yorick can go top and then potentially TP back down because he'll pressure this tower by himself. Or it's just like all the different map openings. Those are the different options that I think are worth looking over. And for me, this one is okay, what we did. Yorick TP's top to take tower. And the question would be like, now can we just run to mid? But this dragon is already down. It's already done if this happens. So we just trade another camp for it. And we did steal it. So maybe it's okay. But that's a after river fight puzzle. I think that will be good. I'll have to go back and forward with the people making them about like what the options are exactly. Casters were dubious about Yorick build, but I think it fits charges based on more. What, as opposed to Triforce? It's just more. It's also just more control and more tankiness. No, so Varus can't finish top is the thing that we were saying in the game. That's why. So Varus doesn't get this tower. And if he's not TPing top for the tower, you also don't need to TP. Because you're still going to be out on the map before these people. So if we want to play for the dragon, we don't even need to TP. We can actually just open mid with everyone, to be honest. Push through mid and take dragon. And then someone can always TP top if they push and answer it. So we would play on this mid wave and push through and take the dragon. And they wouldn't have time to have finished it. Because I don't think you need to TP if you're going to play for the dragon. It's more of a front line and slows for the Xerath, yeah. And the Black Cleaver as well helps the Varus damage, like I said. I think the Black Cleaver is really good. You E someone, they get instant full Black Cleaver shred because all the ghouls jump on them, and then they're also slowed, and Varus Q just melts. And it's all poke as well. And it helps you not be a target for Vi with the not having Triforce. I don't know if he can take it. The call in the game was that he can't take it because there's TP. But I think he probably can. 20 seconds before anyone can TP. He would have to take the whole next wave, and he would in his tempo for it. The question is that if Varus is not at the fight, can we still take the dragon? Because if Yorik's not at it, we definitely can't. But maybe if Varus is not at it, we can't either. In which case, either we need to play for the dragon or play for the tower. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting options there, which will be worth like going over in a bit more detail. Then we get the dragon. I mean, what actually happened is really good. But firstly, they shouldn't lose this dragon. And is there something better that we can get? Because we got first tower and we got the dragon and one person died for it. Classic double pink. Just to make sure there's no vision. Now we want it to play Herald, so we go through mid and towards top, but we make sure that we're playing on the Xerath. We just want to stall them while we're taking the... So they get the tower, we get the Herald. But they go very deep. This is really actually quite nice. I don't think it actually dies, but it's a nice idea if you had a bit... If it wasn't Yorick. Because this fucking Q healing is just so obnoxious, by the way. If it was old Yorick, he just dies here, and it's like, oh, they actually really found a pick in a situation that maybe you thought that they wouldn't be able to. But what actually happens here is... a 1-for-1 when they commit loads of resources on that side, and we get Herald on the other side. What about after this Herald? Like, can we just run top here? We just ult bot with Xerath, and then we run through mid towards top, and we just run top now with Skarner and just put Herald down, and we have 6 scrubs. I'm trying to think if this is worth making a puzzle out of, if it's worth bringing to the team. Maybe I'll even just sort of save it. Clips. Because I think we play on this side, and we also see Jin is here now. Like, we know it's 1v2 on this side, and we also have 6 scrubs. No, we asked, actually. We should have asked ages ago. It's really annoying. We talked about a bunch of stuff we wanted to change about scrims, and then we did the same things as we did last bit. We asked, but we did chat about it, but we agreed it's a bit too close. So afterwards, we'll scrim them. I don't think you need to play side lanes necessarily with the Yorick. With this build, right? So if you go Triforce and you go like more aggressive build, then I think you can play side lane if you want. But always playing multiple lanes, the more lanes you play on, the more risky it is, the more variance you're adding into the game, because there's just more chances for enemy to catch you and stuff like that. So I think Yorick just pushing and moving and then staying as a group is fine, because in a group, I think it's really difficult for them to play. Yorick can mark flanks. No one should be able to get onto us, and Xerath and Varus will just eventually hit shit. So I think you can use Yorick's pressure in the side to force like grouped up situations, and that's what I would prefer to do. The thing here is that we have 6 scrubs, we have Herald. Okay, yeah, Varus is shit at hitting towers, obviously. Lethality Varus. But they commit 4 people to the bottom half of the map, and we've got people on top side. Like, I would even just throw this. I mean, in an ideal situation, I think we just get this kill here. We chase them both away. We realize we can't get them. We play on this wave, mid and top, and we take this whole tower with Herald. Like, we ult, and then we just leave. We run mid instead. But I don't know if it's good, but I think you can. I think you get this tower. Instead, we get Jin Flash, though. Any opportunity to be pressuring towers should take precedence over fighting. I don't think that's a particularly like useful mindset for a game like this, because again, like fighting in terms of like skirmishes, okay, but if we are in these situations, this is like game winning for us. To force this kind of situation where they're all somewhere and we're the same place, and we do this enough times, it's really good for us. But the thing is that we have 6 scrubs and stuff. If we didn't have 6 scrubs, I think absolutely you just match them. But when we have 6 scrubs and Herald, we should probably be in the mindset of mismatching. That's the thing that I think is important from this clip. Or should we find more windows where we can mismatch? Like if we have that many tools, then we just commit to the mismatch and we'll just always outpace them. So here, Atakan spawns, 3rd dragon as well. I really thought this fight would go better, but I can't remember what actually happened. So Vi comes around and gets like almost one shot instantly. But Skarno, because he's just got Heartsteel, he's just not tanky enough yet, I guess. Stun misses on Alistar. Oh, and Gragas comes around and threatens Xerath, which makes it all a little bit more awkward than it otherwise would be. But we're really clear about Jin no flash, which is good. Yorick playing these fights slowly just is so super fucking obnoxious. We chase them away and we get the dragon as well. Updating the team strategy based on objectives rather than having them set outside the game sounds like it could conflict with what the comp wants to do a lot of the time. Yeah, but what the comp wants to do has to be fluid, right? Like you have to be able to update your strategy, because it also depends on like who's fed on what team, you know? If Xerath is ridiculously far behind, maybe we do have to play more pressure on side lanes. If Yorick is far behind, maybe we actually don't have pressure on side lanes and we have to group. So you have to be able to update, I think. So in those situations, you have to think like, what tools do we have? What tools do they have? And you have to include grubs in that. Because already, like, if enemy takes 6 grubs, we have to know that we want to be matching them. And we talk about that already. But what we don't talk about enough is that when we have 6 grubs, we want to be mismatching. Even though you want to be matching with the comp, you know? So it's maybe like a next higher level thing to do, but it's really important to get good at, to be able to think about like what kind of map state do we want and how do we get there in a dynamic way. Not just, okay, this comp versus this comp, but that will always have a big, that should be the first thing you think about, but also in the game state. This was just really silly. Just 3 people we just run in when we don't know where anyone is. They're faster on the map. Like they're already coming out on the map, and now we're resetting. Okay, so this could be another puzzle actually. So after this fight, here, like basically who goes where and what do we do? There's this wave, there's this wave, there's this wave. Jankos coming out base, there's these camps. Like I think, to be honest, the only reason I'm thinking this might not be a good puzzle is because I think it's less like a discussion and more like we just have to play slow. We have to play one sequence where we're not being aggressive and like we run into their base, because by the time we're back in base and we're coming out on the map, so Rel and like we reset now. Like Jankos has, okay, he spawned now. And Rel comes back to base now. So he has all that time as like extra free time. And I think he should just take camps with it. But now we take these 2 camps and we come into this side, but we just come in too fast. But we're all really disjointed as well afterwards. So Xerath clears one more wave there. Okay, so this maybe shouldn't be a puzzle because I think this is just a mistake with tempo. But I'm going to move it to the clip with the team thing. So 20:45. Okay. Yeah, because now we're recalling. Did we need that wave for the item? Anyone know? No. We needed the wave and waiting for Medjais. So if we want the Medjais, which actually I think is really good in this game, then we can't be going in here. But this I think will be better as a discussion than as a puzzle. So I'm deleting it from the puzzle thing. Okay. And here we go too far. What happens for this bit? No, I don't really know yet what. Sorry, it was a good question for Twitch. I'll read it out. Puzzles are only if you could redo it. Do you see where you went wrong, or that kind of situation? It's a good question because I don't really know exactly where I want to do it as a puzzle, where I want to do it as a discussion. So for now, because it's all very new to me and to the team, I'm just kind of taking them case by case. So here, I didn't want to do it as a puzzle because I don't believe there's a bunch of different options that are good. I want to just talk about the concepts a little bit, and there I do want to have a discussion. Whereas this first one, after the river fight, I think there is just some good options to discuss, and we should talk about I want to hear which option people chose if there is a bunch of options. Whereas here feels a little bit to me more like we're fucking up tempo than anything else. So this is still after the fight, and maybe you could just do a puzzle, but I think the puzzle is basically just like, do we play for this wave, or do we recall to be in time with Jankos, or what? Like, do we just take more camps before we invade? And I think it's kind of more like 2 mistakes rather than a bunch of different decisions. Because this is just a mistake. Like, we're just invading here where enemy has pushed in top. They were faster out on the map than us. There's no mid wave, so like they can just have more numbers here than us. But how we get to the position where that mistake happens is useful. And I think I can get there better in a discussion than in a puzzle. So that's what I'm thinking about right now. And I'm now thinking as well, like, so now I have like a few things I'm thinking about. So I still probably only want to have like a 15-minute pre-scrim. There's going to be like it's going to be really short reviews again for the scrims. So I don't think there's necessarily situations where I want to go over a bunch of loads of different stuff. So I want to at some point talk about strategy and tactics with them. At some point, I want to talk about this clip or these 2 clips from the mismatching clip, and also the how do we get back out on the map thing. And at some point, it would be cool to talk about the puzzles from before. And I'm not sure. So I'm thinking maybe, like, I saved the mismatching thing until Monday, and Monday we can work on strategy and how that strategy changes and where we might want to mismatch them and all those kind of things. But that means that for Friday, we can work on some draft stuff, and we can work still on what we do after fights. Okay, that works in my head. I'll do it like that for now, unless I think of something new or like something else comes up. This plays fine. Just needs to be, either. Either this needs to not happen or this needs to not happen. But both happening is bad. But also, I do think that we can just get back onto our next plays more efficiently after that fight as well. And you can like greed and then use your like fuck your own tempo and then use TP to get it back. Those are all good suggestions and good ideas. Okay, then this Atakan sequence is really, really weird. I don't know what to think about it. I think here we just go too far in the contest because we're scared of them pushing us off, I think. We've got no flash. And like, who's doing what? But this is the thing, right? So we can point out mistakes here, but the question is, what's the root cause of those mistakes? Are they going to happen again? Because it's a very unique situation. So I'm thinking about, do we make some puzzles from it? Do we talk about it? Do I make a video about it? Do we discuss it as a group? If so, when? And I think for now, I think we can just chill on it for now. There might be a time further on in the week where we talk about it. But for now, I think we'll just chill on it. Okay, so I think just this one puzzle and then there's 2 clips from this game that will be useful to to take for them. We can look at, when we start learning about team fights, like it would be good to talk all of this. Yeah, I think at some point, faking pressure and playing, like generating tempo by messing with the enemy, I think is always something that's a thing that can be a good topic. But it's, for me, not as fundamental as like the comms one, the getting on the same page one, and what we do after fights ones. But you're right, it will be something to go over at some point. We get the third dragon with our 25% extra buff as well. Yeah, we did lose all our Magi stacks. But also, I think we don't need to go top for the wave. I think we can just finish the Atakan there. And eventually they'll see, but they'll be too far away. I mean, this champ looks fucking broken, I think. Alistar goes too far forward. We miss our ult and stuff on this guy. Shouldn't be harassing while down more than 2 people in the fight. No, you can't give too much space there, though. Because if you give so much space, not only will they sniff that something's up, they'll be able to get to the Atakan much faster. You have to posture aggressively enough. What you want to do really is posture like maximum aggression where you can't die. So maybe it's literally like a few pixels further back while Vi is channeling, you know? So, okay, because we hit the Q, we know Vi is channeling. And so while she's channeling her Q, like this moment, Vi is channeling her Q, we should just step this way a little bit more, only a tiny bit more on Xerath, like here instead of here. And I think it's actually good. While she's channeling, we literally see her channeling. Now we're starting to channel this spell as well. Like here, if you're waiting in the bush here now, this is fine. She doesn't go, but she sees you walk into the bush with Alistar and that you're channeling, and she releases the last part of her Q. I mean, it's nice damage, but we just go a little bit too close always. Just tiny bit. But if you just stay here, like, and say, okay, I shouldn't be harassing because we're down opponents, then that's really bad. Because then they just push through here much quicker and much more aggressively, and they probably stop you on Atakan, and then these people are really extended and low, and they die, which is much worse. Like, even this situation is actually fine for us. Mid tower and 2 for Atakan, I think is actually fine. It's not great, obviously, but it's fine. And then this is the part that we saw. Vi goes really weird here. It does eventually get onto Varus, and then we just play these fights kind of slowly, like multiple phases, and it's good. Probably nothing from the rest of this that I want to go over. I mean, this is like, if you immobile AD carry against these kind of comps, it's just really annoying. Okay, so you flash the ult from Xerath, sorry, from Varus, and you get out of the range of the E from Gragas, from Skarner, and then you just get hit by, is it one or like a Q and a, yeah, you get hit by a Q and a Xerath ult, and then smited so you're moving slowly, and then you just die. Like, it's miserable. Now Vi is low. Maybe we should just go back to the mid wave quicker. But the reason that I don't want us to talk about this, probably, is that we do have a tendency of thinking kills are secured and they're not. So if I show an example where we overcommit to find a kill, firstly, this one's super obvious. So I think they thought that even while they were doing it. But also, you have to be very aware of like the meta point they're making. I've said this multiple times, but I'm going to keep saying it. If you show people examples of us committing too many resources for a kill, what will happen is we'll start committing less resources for kills. And that isn't actually what I want us to do. Because we miss kills by not flashing for them or not committing hard enough on that engage or something like that. So not going to show them that. And we reset, but even from here, like, it's so hard for them to play, and we know it already. I mean, this they even get better, much better engaged than I would want them to get. So let's see how that happens. We put all these people quite far forward. Vi TPs. I mean, Vi just comes around in a nice flank, actually. But we don't have anyone marking the flank because our flank marker is on Baron. And so Vi gets in. But the rest of them don't quick enough, so we live. I mean, even if Zareth dies, I think we probably win the fight anyway, but it's much harder than ace them. Okay. How do we beat these guys on lower bracket? I think making sure that bot lane doesn't have like super winning lane, and mid 2v2 is not easy to play. That's what we said going into this game. So I think the Maokai ban is really, really good in general because it opens up a lot of different things. I think if they don't have Rumble, Gwen, and Maokai, so that they can play like AD mid, who can just like Tristana like pushing and helping, and then I think harder to execute jungler. Both of those I think are really good. Okay, I'm gonna go check on the Bolognese. This is the draft from the next game. If you didn't have Yorick, who would you want top? I really like the Skarner, Tank Slow, and Varus. Zareth Poke. I mean, stuff like Gnar can work. I can't remember. I think we might have banned it, actually. To be honest, any tank would be fine. But at that stage, I would just pick something good into Gragas. And you can have one person who, like, they're not necessarily, like, all exactly in on the comp. Because as long as they can mark someone, which most top lanes will be able to do, either bruisers or tanks, they'll be able to mark the Vi. That's the thing that you need. So Renekton would be okay. You would just not help at all killing the Jhin and Victor probably, and you would just mark Vi and stop Gragas basically. But the Gragas Victor match, I mean, Gragas Renekton matchup is not that good, right? Like, considering Renekton needs to be rolling people. Anyway, this is the second draft. I'm gonna quickly check on the food that I'm making, and I'll talk about it. Okay. Right, game two. So I said this during the stream, actually. I really do not like how this draft happened. I think the draft is good. I think the champs are good. I think the way it happened was horrible, and I've already told everyone I don't want this to ever happen again. So I don't know who was there, but basically, enemy picked this. Firstly, we were really hey Brickney, how's it going? How I don't know why I said that like that. How's it going? So we want to play Nocturne into it. We were thinking about other things, but we wanted the Nocturne. But actually, this time it was Innaxe said we have to deny Ori Neferi combo. Oh my god, it's so broken. Like we have to pick Ori, pick Ori, pick Ori. And Freddie was saying no, and Niat was saying pick Ori. That's the part I don't like. So our mid laner didn't want this champion and didn't want it here. So obviously this combo is good. We have a bit of a history of this combo. And in this game as well, we never did the combo. But I don't want other people picking for someone else, especially when they're against it. And then it just got really like everyone was saying different things. Everyone was like basically shouting their own opinion, not actually shouting, but like. So if you watch this back and you just forget the champion names or close your eyes, it's a complete mess, and I really hate that. And even though we got into a good position with it, like I really like what we ended up with versus what they've got. I never want us to do this again. And that's something that's really important. You have to be clear about like, was the process good? Was the results good? Those are two different things. So the result was good here, but the process was terrible. So the process still needs to change. And just because we got a good result now, there's a Kasparov quote that I love, which is winning can convince you, or losing can convince you to change what doesn't need to be changed. And winning can convince you everything is fine, even when you're on the brink of disaster. So this, for me, we are on the brink of disaster, but this draft is really good. So the winning in the draft, if you want to call it that, which I hate, but if you know, to make it simple, can convince us that this was a good, this whole sequence was good, but it was horrible. It was really, really bad. It needs to change. Because against a team that is maybe a little bit more difficult to draft against, or has more similar to our opinions on what's good into what and all those kind of things, I think this exact same setup can become an absolute nightmare for us. So when one person wants to not pick a champ, like if we have to pick mid here, for example, let the mid laner pick what it is. But I also think we can also just go like Ez or something. And just not be scared. And also the other thing that is a real problem is like, why did we think this combo is broken? I have no idea. I need to talk about it because in competitive, it's like the worst pick in mid with Neferi. And it's not something that we talked about before, that we're like worried about Knight as Ori or anything like that. So those are the things that absolutely need to change. But I think what we ended up with is good. We have a load of dive. We just go on anyone and one-shot them. And again, you have this like Akali Neferi is not the 2v2s that we were worried about versus these players. I'm much more worried about Maokai Trist or something like that. So yeah, the downside is that if you do that in a draft as well, and the early game starts to go badly, and then they did just massively target Freddy in mid lane, and good on him for just like absorbing it basically. But that can also be like, well, he can, as soon as he dies in mid lane, he's thinking like, I didn't want to pick Ori here. Now what? Like now you've got that to deal with throughout the whole game. So that's why I think it's so important. And I've told them this multiple times, but I'm going to say it again when we go into the next scrims. Yeah, that was good. For sure. He had to say it twice, but it was good. Okay. So this game, I think, was just very... probably very one-sided. Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry. I managed to minimize my... thing. Okay. This one, I mean, we get very ahead very quickly. There's stuff in that. There's obviously loads of mistakes in this again, but I'm just going to be focusing on the stuff that I want us to actually look at for next week and how I want to use it. And like when we get 5k up and we're just running around in the enemy jungle, chasing kills, shit happens, you know. Can't remember even how this early game started out. Yeah, they get a roam to mid early on from bot lane, which we don't call anywhere near enough. And we also need to be more clear with what Ori needs. Like, Ori just needs some vision around mid lane in this matchup to just punish really, really hard 1v1. And if you don't get that, then it's like you can't really take advantage of Ori being Ori in this matchup. So this is bad. Like, she's already there when we ping it. And now Neferi comes from behind. It's a nice little sequence there from them. But we should read that much, much better. If it comes up in a game in scrims, I'll talk about it. But if not, I'm not going to mention it. This was super weird as well. Ends up going quite good because Nocturne has red buff and he just absolutely melts people. Because they also lose that wave, so it's 14 CS to 20. But I really, the whole thing was already a bit off for me. We sort of try and chase him away, but we know we should know we can't. And then Kai'Sa starts to just get really, really strong. Nash hits a good hook. And while they're doing grubs, we take we dive bot tower. So we don't even take the dragon on the cross map, we just dive instead, and I like that. This is where it froze. If everyone was watching my stream. Literally was like, it's been going fine for the last like 2 or 3 minutes, and then it gets to this moment and then freezes. And I was like, what? As it turns out, if Nautilus had tanked it, he would have died, and the fact that Jankos tanked it means he didn't. We crash another wave in, 20 CS lead as well. Mid almost dies 1v1, that would have been insane. Because the invulnerability doesn't break the tether, which makes this matchup like really annoying, I think. Okay, then we die 1v1, which is a problem. Yeah, we had a massive CS lead. I mean, this matchup, I think, should be quite hard. Massive CS lead, but big for him to get that kill. This part I really don't like, again, with the comms. This was micromanaging tactics. So we're saying, like, hook now, hook now, hook now. Like, no, just let the person play. Like, we'd say what we're going to do, and we let the person play. And blinding, well, not blinding, but taking Akali when Kai'Sa could be Akali and Ezreal opens up the Kai'Sa angle a bit much. Because now Akali just gets seen in the shroud, and we didn't actually need to be here, but Okay, so this would be a section of like who goes where, but if we make just the right decision and there's not really many other options, then I'm going to just be fine with it. Yeah, so I'm not going to do a puzzle from there because I don't want to just spam them with puzzles where there's not like a real thing to think about, because in reality, I think we just do that. We do what we should do. I think once you commit the TP, you have to just take the swap. And either we swap and we try and swap back, or we just swap once. And now if we want to play for these grubs, for example, it would have been cannon push and come rather than anything else. This one could be, actually. I'm changing my mind a little bit. So we do the fight. Charge TP's in. Where do we go now? We've got grubs in 112. Like, where do we go? Who goes where? Because like, can actually Ori go bot and Kennen go mid instead? Will Kennen have ult for grubs? Yes. Kennen will have ult for grubs, so he's massive in this fight. Like, why does it have to be? Why can it not? Like, what about Kennen? So the options would be what we did, and then I think if we do that, then we can't play the grubs and we have to do something else. Obviously, you don't need to TP. His TP did nothing, so we can just go back top or something. But yeah, what we do here, so in this moment, who goes where? Because I think Kennen can go mid, actually. Orianna can go bot, who has TP, and then we can still play the grubs. We're going to have no Nocturne ult, but we're going to have Kai'Sa ult, Nautilus 6, and Kennen ult for the grubs. And then if there's another question, it's like, okay, now we reset. The other thing we could always do is reset after the fight. But you could have, so Kennen would be mid and staying because he doesn't need reset. Orianna would be bot lane and can reset and TP if needed. Kennen would be here and would be worth, like, we contest from this side, but Kennen would be on this side, and Kennen, if they start grubs, is on a good flank position. So now, if we're not taking grubs, what do we do with this roam? Do we reset and go bot lane again? Do we come round and play through mid aggressively and then go towards bot lane to do something on the cross map? Because now they don't have any TPs. So we should try something on the other side of the map. So those would be like two questions. Firstly, where does everyone go from the lane assignment? And secondly, after we get this push in top and we have free time in bot, like, now what do we do? Do we play on the cross map? Do we try and play something for this tower? Is there a way to even cross map? Those kind of things I think would be useful. Actually get it to 1 HP, which would have been all worth it, considering we get stuff bought anyway. Okay, now Jax has TP. But now we can fight. We said, like, as soon as he TPs, like, we can fight. So it ends up being good, but he shouldn't TP while they're in this vulnerable situation, or they shouldn't be walking. They shouldn't walk this way as Jax TPs. Literally, the second he TPs, now it's like, now they're all dead. And the W Nocturne ult. And then from here, the game is really kind of done. It was, but it was perfect based on what they did. Like, if Jax doesn't TP while they're all standing in river, like, they posture aggressively as Jax TP somewhere else. No, because I think they can just walk safely. They just take grubs and then they just walk the safe way. It's these people who made the mistake. Like, Jax will need to TP. So for me, like, the reason that I think my spidey senses are going that there's definitely a better way to play this. Even before, yeah, so they walk away. But this thing is like, we have this time to do something, and we don't have anything to do because we're all in these weird lane assignments. And so that's already like, okay, something needs to be better there. But then here, yeah, it's because of them. So here, it's all fine from them. Here, this is all fine. Jax is here. Jax shouldn't have shown there, if possible, considering they knew this ward was there. Here, it's actually fine. He just needs to walk this way. This click back from Ez. And then these clicks forward from both of them, this is where they're ending. And I think now they start to realize. But it's too late. So it's a good play for us. Like like I said, it kind of, that's the end of the game really for me. Like it's really hard for them to play now if we don't make big mistakes. No, I think she just walks out. Like I don't think we kill her if she just walks out here. Like here, they can just like, she already, all of this doesn't need to happen. Like she can just come out this way. Like them contesting this wave aggressively when they know Jax is about to base and TP that's the part that's and then she goes forward for the ward for no reason, and probably the ward kills her, but still now she can carry on. She still has flash. Like she can go this way and maybe it's flash trade, flash Nautilus Q, and she flashes it. But it's like the positioning was okay until the Jax starts TPing, but Jax did need to TP. But they were definitely like playing way too aggressively for that top wave, or talking about playing too aggressively for it. Okay, where did he even jump from? Oh, he was just doing raptors for some reason. Now we get this, now we get the dragon. I think this is kind of already like blown open. Yeah. This game is already really, really silly. What, the control wall behind them? Yeah, it makes everything so much easier. I think you go anyway as soon as you see Jax TP, but it does make everything so much easier. Yeah, but I mean, people... It's like when Nocturne's more in the meta, you just notice like everyone plays better against it. When it's a little bit less in the meta. Like I'm sure we can play these fights better, but it's not worth for me right now for us to look at this. Okay. So I think probably that's going to be it. So we have 2 puzzles, 2 clips, one of which I'm going to show on Friday. Yeah. And one of which I'm going to show on Monday. Friday's going to be about draft and still what we do after fights. And Monday's going to be about tactics and strategy. And if we can be more aggressive on the mismatch. They hard commit for top, we get Atakan. Then we just win every part of this fight. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any. Yeah, Garden, no way. Don't think there's going to be anything for us to look at. Then we kill them here. We try to get a pentakill. Almost do. That's the end of the game. Okay, simple. Right, so that's it for me, which means I'm gonna have a bit of a break and enjoy the rest of my evening. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching yesterday, and you can see how this changes anything about our scrims on Friday and Monday. Next round is LR versus Nord. Yes, in a best of 3 this time. So said this before. Less games is always better for the underdog because there's more basically just more luck involved. There's more randomness and chance involved in a best of 2 than there is in a best of 3, than there is in a best of 5, than there is in a best of 7, so on, so on. So we've got a better shot beating them in a best of 3 than a best of 5. But obviously the goal is to do both by the end of the season. So yeah, week and a half or 2 weeks, I guess, technically, and then we'll be playing against LR. So